One of the ways that we've done this as a team is we have a channel just called Daily Stand Up in Slack. You can do the same thing in Teams. And really the point there is really to kind of drive some accountability. And so the expectation is that every day we're posting just, hey, what are the things that we're working on? Where do we have some potential roadblocks? And then, what are kind of the next things coming up on the timeline? And so we just set that expectation very early on. And as new members come in, that expectation is there as well. It's a great way to stay in the communications loop, but still drive some accountability. So it doesn't have to feel like you're micromanaging. And so I think one of the biggest things from my perspective is just making sure that you have some of those really clear kind of procedures or communication approaches that give you that opportunity to stay in the communication loop without having to feel like, if you're constantly pinging them regularly, then that's going to feel like micromanagement, maybe to you or to the individual you're asking the question of, versus if you just have some set standards in terms of, hey, what are the expectations around when people are supposed to communicate and at what level?
Yeah, I love that. If I was in this situation, I was like, just wondering like, I wonder what that employee's working on, or like, I wonder that team, I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. What I would do is just have do a little bit of soul searching page on like, what exactly, at what level do I actually want to be involved, or do I want to see, So if you're okay with them doing the daily collaboration on certain things, like great, but maybe when they're making decisions, maybe you want to be able to see those decisions, or you want to be able to be involved with those decisions. I think you have to figure out, what level of comfort you have at this stage, right? Maybe later on that they will become, that you can give them more responsibility because you trust them more, or for whatever reason, they're more competent. So that's number one. And the second would be, just like what Darrin said, is kind of setting those expectations, and maybe even putting a tool around it where it's like, hey, guys and girls, we are sitting, we have standardized on this project management tool. And I'd really prefer if you put all of your tasks in there. And as you discuss these tasks, just leave the comments on it. I'm not going to be in there every day, but maybe I'm going to be wondering about it. And so I want to be able to go through and be able to read those or be able to participate, not as micromanaging way, but just because I want to know what's going on, or because I care about it for a particular reason.
One other thing I'll add to that too is, that to some degree that can be a personal style question as well. Because like what we find is even if an individual team member is not remote, we have different styles or approaches to how we want to be managed, and the types of questions that we like to get asked. So an example inside of our team, we're mostly what we would consider support motivated team members, which means, hey, if I walk up and ask someone, hey, how's that particular task going? It doesn't feel like micromanagement, because we want to know that the manager is engaged with us and they're asking us those questions and looking for opportunities to break down those barriers. But I have one member of the team who's in a sales role who doesn't prefer a support motivated approach, and he's very goal oriented. And so he just wants to know, what's the number I need to achieve today, or this week, or this month, and then talk to me at the end of the month, at the end of the day, or the week, or the month, and I will let you know, what that number is. And because if I'm asking him regularly along the way, it's going to feel like micromanagement to him, versus the rest of the team, they're not going to feel like it's micromanagement. So that difference in style can play out regardless whether we're remote or, all co-located in the same spot. And one of the ways to kind of avoid that is just to understand truly, what style do they prefer? And I think kind of setting that expectation up front about, hey, I'm gonna want to know what you're doing and your level of productivity. How can we have that conversation in a way that feels productive, but doesn't feel like micromanagement to you?